Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name is English Dave, and joining me because he tests well in key demographics, my co-host Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
The numbers are in. People like you, so I've decided to keep you around.
I don't want to say I'm surprised, but I'm honored.
You are, as this saying goes, my guy in the chair.
Great. It's a
We're here,
pleasure to be here.
we're here to talk what I would call Chapter 2 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season
Yes.
1, which consists of episodes 3, 4, and 5.
Mm-hmm.
They released it in chunks. At first, I was like, what? But then after watching it, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
I see why.
I see what they're doing. Andrew, this episode gives us new questions, some answers, some teasers for those of you who know the comics and some
Yeah.
of these characters, like wink, wink, nod, nod, and some moments of I knew it. Knew it.
Yep.
What do you think of these 3 episodes?
I thought they were really good. Personally, the show is trending upwards. Give or take, give or take, like one or two scenes where I feel like they specifically with Lonnie. They animated like randomly or weekly. I think the
Sure.
animation has been very fluid and enjoyable. It really feels like a living comic book in modern era, especially when Spider-Man is in action. And it's really getting me excited for future fights. Like I'm happy this is going on for seasons because it can only get better. So that's just one thing. Because the story I think is also really engaging. It's feeling like it's moving at a good pace without feeling forced, but it still has like the same I don't want to say Peter Parker element per se, but what I mean by that is kind of the same like journey that he goes through of just like trust and learning to deal with friends and people and their various responsibilities and hard choices. It's the same kind of Spider-Man story, but just honestly completely um twisted on its head. And I like that we get a lot of mentions of known characters, but also a lot of new stuff as well, right? So yeah, I'm enjoying this show. I think they're doing a good job. You can almost see some of the not almost you can see where it ties into the movies directly, right? And
Yes.
just like similarities, but then it then goes off in its own unique direction. And I'm glad that they're able to do that. I think it's been a while we've been able to see something that's not like your main character going to multiverse, but like a completely different multiverse, and we're just watching them. So I'm enjoying this a lot.
You talk about the multiverse aspects of it. We talked about last week how it's almost like a spin-off of What If.
Hmm.
What I like about this is that it's not like, oh, it was the same up to this point and now we're vastly different.
No, it's
No,
like
it's we get little
this.
sprinkles of similarities,
Yeah,
right, throughout. We're not just like, okay, and that's we've moved on and we're
no,
so different, right? It's like, okay, these moments are different, but there's another movie that's the same.
it's like
Or
blink and you think you're back home for a
exactly,
second.
exactly. I also like the action in this. Like you said, they find creative ways to not just show us cool action, but to show us how Peter is growing into his abilities,
Yep.
figuring things out, trial and error.
Hmm.
And I'm always a fan of seeing that. But also, my favorite part about this is that something we noticed from the first round of episodes is that they're really focusing on the emotional narrative. Right, there's an emotional through line happening with the story that I'm
Hmm.
like, "Wow, that's interesting." I didn't
No.
expect the story that to be the kind of through line while everything's happening, and even if it's based around certain
No.
things that we might know as comic fans, I'm curious to see where the path diverts,
Hmm.
where the paths are similar for
I
certain
agree.
characters. I'm excited to see where that goes. Alright, let's get into spoilers. These 3 episodes deal with a couple of things. We see Lonnie's journey into finally becoming we teased it last week that we knew where his arc might go, and it seems to be going down the arc that the comic book stories give us, which in the comics, he's already an adult and he's already the gangster leader of the gang,
Hmm.
Tombstone.
Hmm.
This is almost seeing his prequel narrative. This is almost like if Marvel were to do like a spin-off show like The Penguin, it
Yeah.
would be Lonnie, Tombstone.
Yeah. Right.
We also have Peter's relationship with those around him, particularly the Osborns and Nico. Some
Hmm.
interesting things going on there.
Dynamics. Yeah.
Um, Aunt May moving on after the death of Ben. We're seeing the beginnings of that, and the introduction of one Otto Octavius. All right, so which one? What do you want to talk about first? What stood out to you the most?
Auto, I guess. Let's start with Auto because one,
Oh, interesting.
I don't know, I'm a big Auto fan. I really, Spider-Man 2 was one of my favorite movies back then.
I mean, it's
Like
still
I
great.
just, it just had everything, honestly, for me, for what you expect to see in a cinema. And I've always loved Otto because in some dimension, he's a complicated character, and in others, he isn't really because he's just like get over it. Sure, Norman probably screwed you over, but like go do something else. You're smart. Um,
I like that in this, he still hates Norman. Like
yeah,
Norman is someone that he
like,
hates.
I'm sure it's not the exact same theory, but like in Wolverine and Deadpool, how there's like the what is Wolverine? The phrase when you're like the anchor point.
Oh yeah, anchor
It's
being.
yeah, anchor being. It's like only like there's an anchor hatred. Like no, no, no. No matter the verse, you two are always gonna hate each other, right? It's the same way I feel about even Peter and Norman. Like this isn't gonna end well.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are some people are just built to not be together. So, anyways, I was happily surprised to see Doc Ock. I thought that was fun, especially the character design. It's it's just a nice nod to the old one. And I just feel like we're building. Whenever I watch Spider Man, I'm waiting for the Sinister five, six,
Just a
seven,
six,
5, 6, 7, 8,
5, 6, 7.
right? Because it's always like a rotating number. It's like
You
six.
sound like you
But
sound like the producer of the Sony Spider-Man universe. Whichever it works, I don't care.
yeah, like the Sinister guys. So yeah, the Doc Ock one was just like a nice, very very surprise moment for me when he showed up, just because I wasn't really checking for him in my mind.
And you almost I like the idea of again, those of us who know, and I'm sure most people at this point know, setting him up as the villain to be Doctor Octopus. Right?
Yeah,
I like the idea that they've set him up as the one that's been making these
enhancing
machines and
people.
stuff. Because
Hmm.
I won't lie, there's a part of me that was like, it's secretly Norman.
Yeah,
I thought that
uh,
was going to be a revelation that it was
yeah,
actually Norman making these devices.
yeah,
Whereas I like the fact that it's Otto, but
yeah.
then he has this kind of thing of like he I like it was like hose the place down
Yes,
afterwards.
yeah. After like he switched up so quick, and you could tell like that's the one. Like he's a narcissistic genius in his own way, right? He just thinks that he's better than Norman, which makes him good.
And Stark and Banner, he mentions.
And Banner, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
love that we're in this. I mean, again, you know what? I mean, RIP everybody who didn't make it. I'm just so happy to be alive at this time where we have the intersection of the real and the comics and the animations like this. Because
Mhm.
yeah, when he mentioned them all, like my brain thought, live action. I mean, I just thought of all of them,
Mm.
and the fact that Doc Ock is like, no, I hate them all. So I love this. I love that we're getting all these connections.
All right, let's actually transition to
Yes.
Norman and
All
Peter.
right.
All right, their relationship. Last week's episode, it was revealed that he knew that Peter is Spider Man, and this week's
Hmm.
episode, he's telling her that I'm the only one that knows. That's a secret camera. Only I know about it.
Yeah.
And he's even even has his do not disturb mode to have this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
And he fully, without telling any of his staff, is committing to making sure Peter has a great suit. They don't always
Mhm.
work out perfectly. He hasn't watched The
Highlights.
Incredibles,
Yeah,
clearly. No
right.
capes, no
Like
capes.
literally no capes.
But here's my question to you, because there's one side of me that's like, I've read every single comic. I know exactly what Norman's trying to do. But again, this is an alternate universe. I'm not saying Norman doesn't become an antagonist to Peter. I'm not saying Norman doesn't become the Green Goblin. I'm saying his motivation, because that could be a motivation that happens later.
Yeah.
But his motivation now, am I alone in sometimes thinking maybe Norman's not so bad?
Yeah, no, I feel like they're definitely doing that to us, right? Because we've seen a few times this show has tried to bait us, like with Peter opening his bag and we think it was the suit. So I almost feel like similar to what you said. I also thought Octavius was gonna. I mean, not Octavius. Sorry, Norman was gonna be the one that was engineering all these dudes and
Mhm.
villains, right? And I feel like they're doing that on purpose. Like they know I'm suspecting him. So my final answer, honestly, is that listen. Okay, yes, I can agree that up to now he is a decent person, but he's still gonna go off on the wrong
Yes.
track, right?
Yes.
That's the part I may agree with because even his interaction with Peter never got unless he's being very very coy. He didn't get like aggressive with him, right? When
No.
Peter was like, "Oh, I don't
He
know," he was
seemed
like, "Okay,
excited,
yeah,
like actually excited.
yeah."
Yeah.
like thinking up ideas for the suit, like
Ooh,
more like
ooh.
a yeah, and it's what would be fun if they are doing that is doing the opposite of the movies with Tony Stark being Tom Holland Spider-Man's
Mm.
mentor person, right? It's almost like seeing like I could see another version of this show where that's Victor Von Doom, for example. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how. It's go away, go away. Right, go away. Point
Don't worry
being, like
about it.
it's almost like replacing that super smart. Another one could be Reed Richards, right? It's like
Mhm.
there are different people that could fit that bill, and it's nice that Norman is able to do that because he's always been there for Peter up until he basically loses his shit essentially. So yeah, I'm willing to buy the fact that he's a decent guy now because so Harry doesn't hate him, right? His son
Yeah.
doesn't, but which would have been the telltale sign if Harry was like, "Oh no, Peter, stay away," I'd be
Mhm.
like, "Oh," but he's actually like it's like a little Batman and Sons thing they got going on.
It reminds me of you bring up, Spider-Man 2, the original ones. When Doc Ock and Peter start becoming close, Otto's not doesn't have evil intentions. It's
No,
because the accident and his
yeah,
mind gets fried, then he
yeah,
becomes quote unquote evil, right?
yeah.
I see a similar thing happening with Norman, where because I feel like the worst thing I saw Norman doing, at least so far, is he's over eager to try. Let's try this. Let's try that.
Yeah,
Let's try this.
yeah,
And Peter's like, whoa, 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 whoa,
yeah,
slow
yeah,
down.
yeah,
And like I genuinely believe Norman is like actually excited about this. He's
yeah,
happy.
yeah,
And we were right. We spoke last week when like how does he make house calls? Well,
yeah.
he admitted that
You're
this whole thing, even the internship, was set up to
love
find
that scene.
Spider-Man. I like
I
that,
think that was a fantastic scene to show
right?
his brain. Like
Hmm.
it's not about gadget or science. It's elementary, my dear
Hmm.
Watson. It's got to think sometimes. That was a great scene.
Hmm. And I love that aspect of it. And even again, like you said, typically we see Norman's relationship with his son kind of be a bit rocky. And
Hmm.
this doesn't seem that way. In fact,
I know.
Norman was like, you know what? Let my son take over where I can't.
Yeah,
Things like that. I feel like
which that was shocking in itself. Like,
you're like, what?
uh,
But
yeah,
I like seeing all that, and I like kind of seeing that uh, 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 dynamic build up. And I think it works better this way because then when everything comes crashing, it just hits that much harder because we had a
yes,
personal connection
yeah,
as opposed to
yeah.
being antagonists from the beginning.
It's yeah.
Because Nika doesn't trust. Niko's like,
It's,
no, 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 don't trust
it's
him. Don't trust his son.
oh,
Don't trust his social media. Even though I
the,
follow it, I
literally,
don't.
it's little moments like the scene of when Peter showed up with Harry into the movies, and she didn't shake his hand. Like
Right.
it was just so powerful because she wasn't being like aggressive. It was just like you could tell she was taken aback. And I feel like this show is it almost feels similar to Silo in the terms of like you said, when you animate, every panel has to be intentional. And I
Mhm.
feel like they're doing a lot of things that we'd be able to watch back in the future and be like, that's where she started to change. So yeah, I see Nico and the Osborns just not ever getting along, and yeah, Peter's gonna have to choose as always,
I like
as
when Peter.
inverse.
I like when Peter comes back. Peter gets too comfortable. Didn't even see that everything's not locked down, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, hello, Mr. Osborn," and Harry's just sitting right there. Norman's like, "No, no, no."
I just like, but the two of them aren't serious too, because he's just Spider-Man is just always flying to this building. Like
Right.
a keen-eyed staff, after some time, should start to draw some connections. But anyways, let's allow that.
I mean, Norman can get away with saying, "I've teamed up with Spider-Man. I'm helping him out."
No,
Right?
fair enough. It still
Okay, I
doesn't
can
mean
get
they
it.
know who because he did say that, right? Because he said they're working on the suit, but they just don't know who
Yeah,
Spider-Man is, right?
exactly.
Fair
Exactly.
enough.
And even he assumed that one of those smart people would be working with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He didn't assume that one of them would be
yeah.
Spider-Man. He even
Uh,
says himself, which I like because
that
again,
was a great touch.
seriously, because he made his assumption like, oh no, I know
Yes.
Spider-Man needs to be someone who's both physical, and intellectual. That has to be two
Yeah,
different people.
yeah,
He couldn't think that
yeah,
it's the same person,
yeah.
which which was a nice little touch. But let's go back to Nika.
Yes, okay.
She's got an interesting path. Again, we know aspects about her character beyond this show, which I won't go into. Um, which because we don't know what's going to be used in the show, what's not. But what I find interesting is that is it just me, or does she like Peter and is kind of jealous of the time they're not spending together anymore? Not just
Oh yeah,
as
with
friends, but I think it's maybe beyond friends. I don't know. What do you read?
I think probably especially around that age, emotions like it might be yeah, it could definitely be that kind of thing because I mean, in the hey, Peter's he's always find himself a little lady. Let's be real. Somehow he's super charming in his weird, sarcastically
Nerdy, dorky way.
honest way. Yeah. So I feel like for sure, but I don't. The thing with when you're a real Spider-Man fan is you almost assume any friend of his that is not somehow superpowered is going to have a negative end. I guess I can't unless I'm wrong, sorry. I can't think of many, like, normal friends he's had that is either they're gonna get their heart broken, gonna have to turn villainous, or they're gonna end up being swallowed into Madam Web's dimension for a long time. So, I just feel bad for Nico because this can end well.
'Cause there's a line where she's, like, saying to Peter that, "Oh, all the time you're spending with these people, I hope you have time for yourself." And almost
Yeah,
like she wants to say, "You don't have time for us anymore," you
yeah.
know? And which makes me her reaction I don't think her reaction to Harry showing
Harry.
up, I don't think it's because Harry showed up. I think it's because
Mm.
someone else.
Someone else showed up, yeah.
Yes,
And you didn't even tell me before. It's
yes.
also like it's like you've broken the code somehow, like
But also, like, I can always imagine her imagining this was not official, but kind of maybe a date,
Yeah,
because but
yeah.
then he brings someone else because Peter's just, like, completely oblivious. He's like, "Oh, I bring
Oblivious.
another friend. It's just, we're going out with friends."
Yeah.
That
So
kinda
it's obviously not a date. So you're
yeah.
right. She was taken aback, emotions. But it was just a good scene to show.
I mean, even earlier on, you see in the scene where he talks about Nico, he's like, "Oh, my friend, as a girl in my room, but not like that." Like, kinda like he's kind of justifying, "No, no, no, but not like that,"
hmm
"When I bring an actual girl to my room."
An actual.
Speaking of his room, we get a nice little moment. Not too much, but I think it's something that I like getting sprinkled because it's established that, at the very least, Uncle Ben's death wasn't that long ago, right? They're
Yeah.
still kind of dealing with it emotionally,
hmm
but it's enough times past that May is kind of going through the stuff to see what can I get rid of.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that emotional moment. And then once again with Peter noticing things like, oh, she can't pay some of the bills, which is why he ends up saying yes to Osborne.
Uh-huh.
That was $1,000. I was like, yeah.
Like, listen, Peter, don't bite
Okay.
the hand that feeds you. Yeah, you have to.
That's an
Like,
internship money too.
I'm just saying. And this is back. I mean, I don't know what year this is, but I know it feels like back then. It doesn't feel like this isn't 2025. in when
Well, it's Civil War era.
yeah,
Actually, let's talk on that. We didn't talk on that before. Civil War. We see that Civil War
the
just happened.
screenshot.
Yeah, we see the screenshot of the airport fight in
Uh,
Germany. Peter's not there, obviously, in this case.
right.
But the Accords are still in play, and
Mhm.
Captain America, Team America, is still on the run. Do you think there'll
Yep.
be ramifications with that we're going to see?
Yeah, especially because which I like that they did. Peter is Team Cap, right? Both him and Harry are Team Cap. So I could definitely see an episode with the reason I think for sure is Spider-Man is too close to the Avengers for them to mention something like the Sokovia Accords. I feel this early and not have a direct like interaction with. They literally showed Cap and Iron Man on the
Mhm.
screen. OG Iron Man costume also, which is funny.
And they
Um,
made a note that Peter needs to kind of be registered.
yeah,
Osmond like, I'll sort it out. They made a note
yeah,
of that. All right.
and I think that's going to become a thing. I can even see. I have many guesses. I don't know because are we going to see Tony Stark in this world? Is there anything confirmed? I'm curious because if so, that could be a.
I
There's
mean, the
going to be an
Starks even
interesting
he's
mental
mentioned.
tussle. Quite a few times even,
Yeah.
or a couple of times. I mean, I'll say quite a few.
Mhm.
So I think he's going to meet Cap at least because I think they're really trying to almost replace the Iron Man of the movies with Norman and maybe Cap from here because the
Mm,
yeah him being Team Cap was like a funny thing, but also could be like a precursor to them meeting.
mm. Let's talk about Harry and Peter's relationship. This is very
Mhm.
different to what we know because, in terms and sense of they get very close in the comics and some of the narratives before he knows Harry knows that he's Peter, and also I mean he's Spider-Man, and then by that point the relationship evolves into more of an antagonistic relationship.
Yeah.
Um, we get moments. What I like with Harry is that there's that obvious outside perception of he's a spoiled rich kid. He gets whatever he wants, as we see through Nika. But when
Uh-huh.
he tells through Peter his story, we get more empathy with him, where it's just
Uh-huh.
like he's for someone who has everything, he feels alone.
He has nothing, nothing, no one to share
He
it
d
with.
right, he doesn't have friends like that.
Yeah,
He was homeschooled. Um, but what do you think of their bond? Because for me, I like that it happens quickly. It's not dragged out. That he's actually excited to be his guy in the chase, almost like Peter's Ned in this
yeah,
universe,
yeah, yeah,
right? Even though he's like the super rich kid, but it's usually you'd see this kind of dynamic where it's nerd and super rich kid. The
yeah,
nerd is the one that's kind of like looking up to the rich kid, but it almost seems the other way around, where he's
yeah.
excited to be
He's
Peter's
he's
guy
like,
in the chair. What do you
yeah.
think of their relationship, and what do you think it's going to evolve into?
You're right. I feel like he's even happier that this is like a friend his dad approves of, right? This isn't even like I found a friend, dad. Can I? It's like, oh wow, dad, you're saying this, and it's Spider Man. I
And it's
mean,
okay, it's after his money or after trying to get close to his dad. They reference to you
yeah,
because your dad is someone.
which I'm
Yeah.
sure I can't imagine, but like he said, I'm sure it's just been tough to even connect with people on a real level. So
Mhm,
that's another thing I guess is part of Peter's charm, right? He's always oblivious to anything. That's like someone anyone's wealth, your status, if you love him or not.
mhm,
Norman said, he's literally just always thinking about other people, right? That's probably
mhm.
why
Yes, I
he's
love that.
your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man from New York.
Mhm.
So I almost like I'm cursing them, but I just again, there's no friend of Peter Parker, is there? In any
Hey, the
verse
Parker
that
luck is a famous thing.
it's just it's something else, and in hindsight, maybe it's even Peter's fault. Maybe he keeps trying to play all these different sides of his life, and it just can't work. But I think that's why it'll be interesting because usually his problems with Harry come I don't want to say from that secret, but the secret is kind of
Is a
a
big
big
part of it, yeah.
thing because it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, I'm your best friend and I didn't know. No, 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 big problems. So now it being we're never best friends. Two, you knew this is how you knew me from the start.
Mhm,
I feel like it's interesting because both Peter and Harry are getting a friend that they can, I guess, kind of confide in
mhm.
this in a way they can't with others. So I think that would be interesting. Especially with the Norman thing. There's no way they're not going to have to make choices between the three of them, right?
Mhm.
Because I feel like it always happens. Norman's gonna have to pick between Harry and Peter, or Peter picking between saving Harry or no. There's always a something with this trifecta. So I think in closing though that it would be refreshing to see them just be three happy besties up until when the
The
Green Goblin comes.
I think, proverbial fly in the ointment
Hmm.
is might be, Nika
Hmm.
and relationship with Nika, because I think that's where you're getting a lot of the bumping heads. Nika
Hmm.
and, like, I could just as you were talking now, I could just imagine Nika being like, "Wait, you told Harry you're
Yeah.
Spider-Man before
Yeah.
me?"
Yeah.
And just completely obviously, Nico being oblivious to the nuance of how that all happened. Her head
Yeah.
is like, "You went and told him and
Yeah.
decide not to tell me," as opposed to, "No, it was an
That's true.
accident." And I
Yeah.
could see that kind of just being a big deal, especially, like,
Yeah.
after 'cause she already has negative feelings towards the Osborns,
Yeah. So
and it's like
Nico could become the Hobgoblin or Green Goblin. I mean,
or at least
yeah.
Nico could be that domino that sets things in motion
Yeah.
to the conflict that
No,
happens, right?
that's
That
true. Actually, I could
involves
see
that.
that.
I could see that happening. All right, let's get to the crux of the storyline. Can't miss this, and I think for me, it's the most interesting through line that we're having in the show altogether because I didn't expect it to happen. Let's look at Lonnie's journey into gangster darkness. Dun dun dun.
Mhm.
Because his brother is trying to act up, sneaking out the house.
Dumbass.
Lonnie now
Dumbass.
is has to forget about football pretty much and just take up that gangster life.
I think I'm a bad
Even though
brother because I was like, would I have done the deal? Like,
it was like he ain't going nowhere. Sorry, brother. I tried. Peace,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, right. Like, yeah, stupid. I told you you're stupid, and then walk away.
I've got a
Um,
football game to play.
again. I also wish he just told coach he was leaving. It was just a random thing. I know he had no time, but just being like, "Coach, I'm sorry." But anyways,
Also,
that's
they've set him up
here
as
and
someone
there.
who's kind of like, I don't want to tell people my problems.
Yeah, I
He's
don't
got
know
that kind of personality
pity.
where he keeps even when he was buying the lunch,
Hmm.
instead of like, because I'm sure the others were happy to pay for their own lunch. It's not
Yeah,
like you're doing them a favor, and
yeah,
it ends up with you eating an apple
yeah.
because you couldn't. I get it, but come on. Get away, get out of your ego. And I think that's
Uh,
part of it. That's why it's not telling coach. It's like, I can handle it, I can handle it.
yeah.
But what I find interesting is that smile at the end when he was dubbed Tombstone.
I didn't expect. I was like, "Bro, you're liking this a little too much. You're meant to be upset that you're here, right? You are doing this to save your brother, right? right? right?" He's like, "No, he likes this."
There's a part of me, I can't ignore the fact as a black man where we're taking down this storyline with a black man of, you know, we're going down the storyline of how he went into the gang life. And I hope there's more to it than him just ending up the story where it's a tragedy of him becoming a gangster. Because again, in the comics, he does become the head of the gang. I can't remember if it's the same gang, but he does become a gang head in the Spider-Man and Marvel
Yeah.
narratives. But so I hope this is not just a story of a poor black kid. He had everything going for him, but because of where he grew up and all that kind of stuff, he ends up going into the gang life. Because for me, that's I get it, and that's a nuance in this story, but it's also a story I've seen many times
Yeah.
from the black portrayal, and it's almost like I'm almost tired of that.
Yeah.
Which is why I want to see. I hope there's more to it. I'm not saying that he can't be a gangster, he can't do that kind of life, but I hope that there's more than just that journey.
Yeah.
Because again, that's just more speaking from the perspective as a black man, where it's like a lot of our stories on screen always have to do with
They go
black
from
pain,
point A to B. It's
right?
always yeah.
It's always to do with black pain, the
Uh,
gangster life, slavery, and all that kind of stuff. And I know these stories are also very real, but also we have other stories too. All our
yeah,
stories
or
aren't about pain.
like infinite other stories too.
Right. So I hope again, I'm not saying don't do this story. I just hope that there's more nuance to it, which
Yeah.
so far there has been. I'm not
Hmm.
saying which I'm giving credit for, right? We've
Yeah.
seen this kind of journey, but I hope it's not just he's a villain and that's it. Done.
Yeah.
I hope there's a more complex nature to it. But I like it. I like his journey. I like that it's in a show like this because I didn't
Hmm.
expect it. Right.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't. I wouldn't have called that would have been part of the themes being
No.
explored like heavily here, but
Mhm.
I think it's nice. And again, they're aware of the times, and let's go. We're all in.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
still funny how again money, which they're clearly saying when Norman and Harry are completely immune to all of this
Mhm.
because they're just rich.
Yep. Which again, I don't mind seeing rich black
Yep.
folk. I
Yep.
like it. Which is also though I hope, which is the as much as I like that, I don't want a case of there's something interesting when you take villains and I don't mind you race swapping villains,
Yeah.
but don't race swap all the villains to the black guys. Because
Yeah.
then all the black people are the villains.
Yeah.
Then you're like,
It's
damn it.
like
We take 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
it's like that's actually funny. You're like, Gotcha."
You thought
Oh
we were
my
going to
goodness,
spend nice with
that's too
Norman.
that's too funny.
You thought Norman was going to be this nice
You
character. It's Green Goblin,
literally thought.
bitch.
Oh my gosh.
Any cool moments that stood out to you? Let's talk about the
Um,
fight with what are their names?
Bonnie
Uh,
and Clyde, some
y-
YouTuber called them. I'll have to find his name.
Speed and Tarantula, or Speed Demon
So
and
how does this
Tarantula.
speed work? Because you have shoes, you can now handle.
Shh.
Sorry, I'm
Doc
always.
Ock magic feet
The cock.
thingies.
To be fair, the cock is really smart. Probably accounted
Yes.
for all the G forces. Um, but yeah, right. My highlight of that scene, like you said, is I love what is it like? Probably like the episode 4 to 10 of an hero's origin story when
Mhm,
they're starting to each episode like learn their powers more, and so just watching Peter learn the timing, and like it's almost like we're learning how his spider sense is growing and how
mhm,
he's building that muscle. So I really enjoyed that. Like I said, I think the animations during the fights is probably where part of the budget is going.
mhm, mhm,
The colors, the movements, the comic book style, and the way things pop into the screen. I think that it's all very enjoyable. So yeah,
mhm,
I enjoyed them. I didn't think, and I like that it was also not which happened not like a main villain necessarily
mhm.
for this first bout, but still a challenging one. That wasn't just like a cake in the a cake in the park, a walk in the park, cake in the that wasn't a cake in the park. um, so yeah, I enjoyed that and seeing him and Harry Osborn. Norman's team up. It reminds me of The Flash. If you ever watched the
Mhm,
CW
mhm,
Flash, it's
mhm,
another
mhm.
show. It's just like, oh, they're
Wait,
giving you a little team.
no, no, as I was gonna say that, I think that that scene was more to highlight that aspect of Peter that, as much as you're struggling putting a team together and getting all the different suits and things like that, there are benefits. It was Norman that was just like, "Huh, I'm hearing a recharge every time
Yeah.
before he's about to run." That advice helped him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And showing how valuable that is. What I love about
Yeah.
Marvel Universe is how it deals with secret identities compared to DC.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel really doesn't have the traditional secret identity narrative. And
Mm-hmm.
when it does, like with Spider-Man, and with Daredevil, it's kind of like a secret, yes, but a lot of people around me know about it, and I have to
Yeah,
deal
it's
with the
like
fact that
quite
people
a few know. Like
and
people
I have
know.
to
It's
deal
okay.
with that and the ramifications
Yeah.
of that and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost like more of such a struggle to
Mm-hmm.
maintain that secret identity. And a
Yeah.
lot of the times, it's not always the reasons why you think it is, right? It's just to make life easier in certain aspects. But
Mm-hmm.
most people have their identities in Marvel Universe. Most heroes,
Yeah.
people know. It's public knowledge, right?
And
Whereas DC, it's not
hence the
really.
chords.
Yeah, exactly. Hence the Accords. Um, I like the other fight with what's her name, the
Unicorn. Hmm.
unicorn lady,
Yeah,
and I like the
she was
tease.
messing him up though.
Oh my goodness, I love that she was a villain. That's like, oh, so you care about people, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't care about people, even my own
Not
people.
even my own dude. And he's like,
He's like this mother, like
I feel like, which was funny because he didn't run away because he was like, going to
right,
stay and protect her, and then she did that. So honestly, when he went against her, I was like, I feel you, bro, because you could be home right now. You
right,
could be on the way to anywhere.
right. The other two are like, we're bouncing because she's crazy and she's distracted, and he was like, no, I'm staying. And the guy was like, all right, cool, hope to see you later.
I'm like, peace, bro.
Which, fun fact, I won't go into, but people can make guesses. We'll give you one of them. All those characters are famous Spider-Man rogues.
Dum
All
dum
right, and that
dum.
big guy is the Rhino, and I
Dum
won't
dum
tell you who the
dum.
others are. I thought he was going to put on the unicorn thing because he's the one's like, I like the rhino. I was like, no,
Same,
no, no.
same. No, but again, I feel like they're doing a lot of things that they think that we think is going to happen. Because that
Yeah,
me too, it seems so obvious, and then it looked like a rhino horn, but he's
yeah.
just like, yeah,
It's like, next time, Spider-Man.
yes,
Next time, because we're not
all
friends. I
right,
don't
bro.
care. He let him know. But I did like in that distraction moment where she just grabbed Spider-Man. She's like, I like
Yep.
seeing the hero also get beat down,
Mhm.
also by characters that are lesser known, because it
Yeah,
shows you how much they like. I think it highlights the win when they beat like a strong foe,
yeah,
right?
no, I agree. And also the fact that don't think that it's only Green Goblin that's a headache out here. Like
Right.
literally,
The
your average bank robber with some tech could actually be a trained assassin who whoops your ass.
Let's go back to Lonnie because I want to talk about also the
Tony
gang
Stark.
warfare,
Yeah,
right? The gang
with the
warfare between the
scorpions.
110s and the Scorpions. Another villain we get introduced to, Mac Gargan.
He
That
looks
was more
so
obvious.
crazy.
He is the Scorpion
Yeah,
that we see. There's a turf war brewing, right? And even what's his name? The gang
Big
leader,
D, Big
Big
D.
D, Big Donovan. When he I can't believe he set up Lonnie like that. Like, yeah, go give me some food. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought they were gonna make him have to pay, and then there's gonna be a code word, and I'm gonna beat his ass. But
Right.
yeah, it made
Or
more sense.
something along those lines. But yeah, I
Yeah.
find this gang warfare interesting and seeing where this is going in terms of Lonnie's overall story and this kind of battle
Hmm.
between the two.
Hmm.
Do you think Peter what do you think Peter's reaction is going to be when he comes back and see? Because obviously this is gonna spill over into Peter's world. What
I
do you think
can't.
happens then?
I can't wait for them to see each other and be like, "Ah." Oh, and let me not say each other because Lonely wouldn't know. Um,
But what
also,
if that'll be interesting though. They
I'm
see
gonna
each
say call
other,
it now. Lonely's gonna find out. Call it now
they find
because
out in a moment of battle, right?
yeah,
Fighting each other. Maybe Lonnie also gets some kind of costume look for Tombstone.
yeah.
Because Tombstone has quite a visual look,
Isn't
right? In the
Tombstone
comics.
usually
Like his head,
like
blocked head.
I was even like all white?
Yeah, his skin is like whitish.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, Lonnie,
So
you're
it's
about
like
to
there's
fall
something
into a vat of
exactly.
chemicals.
Something happens to him.
Watch out,
And then
bro. Your star sign isn't looking too good at
ugh.
you. So that should be interesting, actually. Curious.
uh, I did like the in that fight with Unicorn when she kind of was beating on Peter. Then as soon as Peter realizes that all the civilians are clay, he's like, "Oh, Regret.
Literally
Grabs
like
her
grab
arm.
the hands.
Like you said last
Like,
week,
yeah.
Peter's always holding back because
Mhm,
he feels that he's gonna hurt people, which again, you see that in this episode when he's like webbing he webs
mhm.
some people by accident.
Oh, and that's part of the learning the journey because it's. I also thought like, is he going back to help those people? Or, like, anyways, I'm sure they figure it out, but it also kind of it even adds to some of the future feel, which I can't. Another person who I always kind of look out for in Spider-Man 2, one Vulture, if I mentioned that, and two is J. Jonah Jameson. So I'm just like it fuels the fire as to why J. Jonah sometimes is like this dude is a menace. Look at
Yeah.
the civilians. Look at
Look at this stuff.
the
It's sticky webbing everywhere. Let's go back to the internship location. You know, one, I like that everyone's just like, Norman has you in his office an awful lot. Like, what's up with that? Hmm? Hmm?
and that angry teacher is just he's always ready to go when they're like he need you in the office and he's
He's
they're
like,
like
I'm no, not you.
mm,
I
like
will push you as far as you can go because I will get the best out of you. I find it interesting because again, you mentioned last week, and I'm beginning to believe it more and more that what if Dr. Whitman becomes the vulture?
he just has vulture energy. It's just
He
like
does. He's young,
and
young,
bad, but like
generous.
yeah, exactly. It's like it has all. It also just looks like a vulture to me. It could very well. He could even be another villain, no villain, or something. But yeah, again, Spider-Man isn't one of those that just has a person with aggression end up doing nothing. Like they
Mhm.
either work for the Daily Bugle or they end up trying to kill Peter.
And aggression plus potential jealousy because Peter's always
Yeah,
going to Osborn,
yeah. If
and
it's not pride, mm-mm.
as far as Whitman cares, Whitman's like, of all the students, him. Why him? Because it's not even like from Whitman's point of view, Peter's not the
He's the
standout
hardest
student.
worker. No, he's not.
All right. He can't even do a good presentation.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
So
I'm at
that's the
Shows
thing.
presentation, flashing lights.
I was actually a little upset because I kind of wanted to see it.
Right? They should
I was
release a
like,
YouTube video of his actual
yeah,
presentation. Like we should
right.
see that. I'd love that.
Uh, and
Let's
also one Hulk, but
right.
we'll keep
Exactly.
that.
A point. Has it happened already? Don't think so, but maybe. I don't know.
I wouldn't be
Um,
surprised if he find out, but yeah, go on.
let's talk about the different costumes. For comic book fans, a lot of those costumes are actually costumes from different storylines. Obviously, we like the white one, but any of the other ones, did you like, or what did you think of the other costumes? Or just the whole costume montage.
The black one was hilarious. It felt like Black Panther's original
Yes.
costume a little bit, but it was just too just too funny how people were afraid of him. It's just like, yeah, why is there a dude in black leotards?
The claws.
Like,
That costume is known as
uh,
Dusk, the Dusk costume.
the dusk
Yeah.
costume.
Yes.
Interesting. And then was Hornet the first one the Hornet? Was it Hornet? Or
That
you
one's
had
called, yeah, that Hornet one is called,
second one.
no, yeah, that was the second one, the Hornet one.
Yes.
The second one, yes. And I did like when he gets the final suit that he likes in white there. I did like that he didn't think it was fireproof. He's like, "Oh, I'm fireproof." But I like the
In
callback
fact,
because last week
yeah.
he said, "Next time it should be
And he said I
fireproof."
had to have a sip. Yep. And I hope they
Yeah.
continue that. Yeah, I'm a big fan of one, when the next villain you use something from your previous villain,
Mhm.
there's victory, right? So yeah, keep that up, guys.
Did you notice? I didn't go back
Yes.
to episode 3, but I'm pretty sure episode 4 and 5, the intro theme song, when he ends and lands in the suit, he's wearing the different suits. So every
Really?
episode
Oh,
it's a
I'm
different
gonna
suit every episode. Alright.
oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, 'cause in 5, he had the white suit, and I think in 4, he had one of the other suits, but it's, like, different
Hmm.
suits at the end of the episode. I didn't
I love
realize
when
until
him sorry, go.
no, no, I was finished.
I was gonna say it was funny. It was funny when him and Harry were like, yeah, some color, red and blue. Yeah,
Actually, I did
that's.
like that. I like that because we get I always like there's different Spider-Man stories would give us different reasons why the costume looks like that and is that color.
Hmm.
And a lot of them also always come down to the idea that he is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He doesn't want to come across as scary.
Yeah,
He wants to use colors that are brighter, not just black. Because everyone always talks
yeah.
about, oh, he looks cool, it's black. Okay, yeah, cool. But he's also people don't realize the context that
See that
Spider-Man
at night? At night,
that's
that
the
may
thing.
be a little scary. I'm just
In
saying.
New
See,
York,
careful,
he's not trying to
right?
be Batman. He's not trying to
Uh,
scare you. He's not.
yeah.
We get a good scene in that fight with Unicorn where It reminds us that Peter's not the hero that's stopping the bad guys. Peter's the hero that saves the
Saving
civilians.
people. Yeah, exactly.
Because when he had the choice to chase or stop, he stops, right?
Immediately.
And and I like that about his character. I like kind of showing that the thought process into his costume. People forget he's one of the only characters in comics across the board, bless you, where
Okay.
he is completely covered head to toe. You can't even see his skin color. You can't see. Some people believe he's a Spider Man.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's what some people believe. You know, there's that fear.
And
Most
and
heroes you
and
can
some
see,
verses he is.
right? Most a lot of heroes, shit, even Daredevil, who has a mask, you can see his face. Batman,
He's
you
a
can see his
little
face.
jaw.
You know, you can see that it's a man, a human, right? Where Spider-Man, it's very rare
No,
you can
no.
find heroes. And
Spider-Man, Black Panther.
but
Those two are like,
people know who Black Panther is.
or they think, but yeah, yeah, I'm kidding.
You know, people know he has a costume, but you would know he's a king of
He
a
has a
nation,
whole country, yeah, and the king, yeah,
right?
he's
As I say, you have someone like Deadpool, people know who Wade Wilson is. You know, like so
no.
not many
Who else
have a
is fully
secret
covered?
and cover. You know, you'd be hard. I'm not saying they don't exist, but you'd have to really
Mm,
think about it,
I'm
right?
really trying to think.
In fact, if you can think of some heroes, known heroes, I don't want some
Doc,
obscure random
Doctor
person.
Fate. Wait, Doctor Fate in DC. He's
No,
covered.
because no, because it's
No,
always
he's
a different
known. Never
person,
mind.
and it's a
Yeah,
different person every time. Doctor Fate
and
is the helmet.
it doesn't even count. Yeah, you're right.
So that doesn't count. Find
That's
us
a
on
tough
social
one. I'll
media
get
at
back
the
to you.
Nerdy Bunch, at the Nerdy Bunch, or email us the Nerdy Bunch pod at gmail.com. I want to know the answers. Someone give me a list of names. And again, I don't want some obscure someone from random. Oh, in
Yeah,
1932, there was this one comic. No, it has to be someone that the average person might have heard of. Maybe. I'll be loose with that.
yeah, because
Anything
Iron Man,
else?
we all know. Sorry, yeah, and
You're still
it's giving me a new task. I'm gonna get back on that. But
you can use
great
AI.
show. Loving the direction. Looking forward to the introductions. I like even the pacing. You know, I think like I said, nitpicks aside, some animations being like less lovingly drawn at times. Like there's sometimes when Lonnie was visiting his home, it happens. I'm not. This is a nitpick, not even like a complaint. So minus little things like that. I think the show is just doing a good job of making this story that we all know still feel fresh, right? Like I'm now
Yeah.
looking forward to it. Not saying, oh, it's definitely going to be X, Y, Z. Even with the Tombstone thing, I feel like it could end up with he takes over the gang and maybe he's trying to be a better gangster than those
Mhm.
before him. Who knows? Who knows? So I'm excited. I think it's a great show. And I think I'd hope it can only get better from here.
I mean, this is a great place to be as someone who likes comics and has read
Mhm,
so much Spider-Man. I'm in a place where I'm like, I don't know where they could go because they've
mhm.
done a great example of telling me they're going to zig when they're actually zagging.
Zagging, yep.
Yeah, so I'm happy to
And that
see.
web you in your face.
Like, got him.
But yeah.
So I'm
Um,
excited to see where this goes. What do you nerdies think
huh.
of this show so far? What are your assumptions for some of these characters going forward? And do you know some of these villains that have been secretly introduced? Find us on social media at the Nerdy Bunch and give us your thoughts. Also, like I mentioned, you can find us on email, the Nerdy Bunch pod at gmail.com. You can let
Yes,
us know some
yes.
shows and movies you'd like us to check out. We're also right now we are reviewing Severance season 2, so check that out. And we have a
Yes,
bunch of
yes.
upcoming content that we're going to be reviewing for you. So keep it locked on the Nerdy Bunch. And if
Look,
you're into sports, Nerdy Sports is back, where Tim and Scotty talk all things sports. So any sports nerds out there, check out Nerdy Sports as well. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of Something to Marvel About, where we spoke about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man episodes 3 through 5. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.